So tomorrow I've got a brand new save starting here on the channel with Aberdeen, and although we want to try and win as much as we can with Aberdeen, the overarching aim of the save is to try and get the Scottish Premier League to the #1 spot in the European rankings. It's going to be tough, it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of money to sign the best players so we can keep doing better in Europe, to keep boosting the league's coefficient and eventually get ourselves to #1 in Europe. But what if money wasn't an issue? What if TV companies like Sky, BT and Amazon came to the Scottish Football League and said, we're going to give every single team £100 million every single season to broadcast your games around the world? Well, in today's video, that is exactly what I've done. I've given every single team in the Scottish Premier League a £100 million TV deal that renews every single season. And what that means is they're getting more TV money than leagues like La Liga or leagues like the Ligue 1, and they're in line with the Premier League. So surely with this kind of money, they're going to be on par and #1 maybe in Europe in no time at all, because they've got the money to buy the players to do well in Europe, to then boost the coefficient and so on and so forth. I've also simulated 50 years into the future, and in today's episode we'll keep jumping forward every once in a while to see how 1, the league is doing, 2, how the teams are doing, and 3, if they can actually get to #1 in Europe. Before we do that though, would massively appreciate it if you guys could drop a like on today's video for me and leave a comment down below letting me know if you think the SPL is going to make it to #1 in Europe. If you enjoy this sort of video and you want to keep up with me and my Aberdeen save and seeing if I can get them to #1 in Europe, it might be a tricky journey, but we're going to give it a good try. Please do feel free to subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 20,000 subscribers now, so it would be great to hit that soon. So we're going to kick things off 5 years into the future. The clubs will have had either £400 or £500 million given to them, depending on when the sponsorship money is given to them. So they should have made a decent dent into that, and hopefully we're going to see some really positive results. Starting off, we can see over here that Celtic have won quite a few league titles. Obviously, this starts before Rangers won it in real life, so that's why Rangers aren't on there. And in this version of the universe, Rangers haven't gone on to win a league title, but Aberdeen have gone on to win one before they did, winning the season we've just seen played out, beating Celtic by 4 points to the title. The main thing we are looking at here is the competition reputation, and it's been a bit of a slow start so far. It started off in 14th right at the start of this save file in 2020, and it's now up to 13th overall. So slow progress, but I think we can expect that at the start of this experiment. There's another 45 years to go, so plenty of time to get to #1. Let's have a quick look at teams like Aberdeen, for example, then. So if we look at their finance and salary, the skin that I've got right now gives me a finance and salary section on the bottom here, so we can easily see what sort of money the clubs have got. And right now we can see a balance of £189 million. So they really are burning through that money. Say they've been given £400 million or so, they have spent half of that at least, which is very impressive. They've got a huge wage budget as well, and they're currently spending quite a lot of that. So clearly they are spending a lot on players. They've got players like Wesley, Martin Braithwaite are in the team as well. So some interesting signings for Aberdeen. We want to see what's going on in terms of transfers for the whole league though. So if we go back to the very first season, 2020-21 season, we can see that actually a few players are leaving to start off with. And that is probably because Celtic don't have quite as good of a reputation as Bayern Munich and Marseille. Reputation is going to play a big part in this, but hopefully as more money comes into these clubs, the bigger their reputation will end up growing. I think the biggest name to join a club in that first season was Jesse Lingard. He left Manchester United to join Celtic, which is a pretty interesting move. So that's a big one there that we can see. If we go into the second season, we can see that Facundo Torres has joined Celtic from Penarol, which is an interesting move. Facundo Torres is usually pretty decent in Football Manager. He's a bit of a wonder kid, right? So he's quite a decent signing for Celtic there. But as I look down the rest of the list, there aren't many names that I'm picking out but I really recognise. Regan Poole from £3 million to £4 million to Hibs. If that happens in real life, I'll be very happy because that makes a lot of money for Lincoln City. The season afterwards, you've got players like Malang Sarr joining Celtic, which is pretty nice. But you've also got players such as Brennan Johnson joining Motherwell from Nottingham Forest. Now, Brennan Johnson plays for Lincoln City at the moment in real life on loan, and he's a good player, but I wouldn't say he's a top tier quality player, and Motherwell paid £8.5 million for him. And I think what we can see so far is that because there's such an influx of money into this league, transfer fees are heavily inflated. I would be very surprised to see Brennan Johnson be sold at any point in his career for £8.5 million. The season after that, Celtic are really splashing the cash, £34 million on Andre Silva. This is the type of transfer that we want to be seeing, top quality players joining the league to then help them do better in Europe, to increase that European coefficient, to boost their rankings up the table. This is what we want to be seeing, so that's a very good signing for us there. And then in the season that we've just had, Celtic signed Farines from Chelsea, and Farines also one of the best keepers in the game that you can get. So Celtic have really built a quality team, I must say. They spent a lot of money. I'm surprised they didn't actually win the league title. I'm surprised that Aberdeen have got there, because I'm looking at the Aberdeen team and they're not making big transfers, and the players that we saw on the screen a minute ago weren't fantastic. So given that they are still 13th in the competition reputation, I don't think anyone's won a European competition like a Champions League or Europa League, but we'll just double check. Looking at the Champions League, Liverpool, Barcelona, Man City, PSG, so no Scottish teams. In the Europa League, Porto, Milan, Trabzonspor, Man United and Sevilla, no Scottish teams in either winners or losers column. But the Europa Conference League, there's potential that they might have won something there, but by the look of things, no team from Scotland have made a final in the Conference League. So we'll go forward again and see what's going on. Before we jump into the future again though, just want to let you guys know about today's sponsor, which of course is the OneFootball app. Now, today's video is all about TV deals, and OneFootball actually have their own broadcasting rights. On the app, you can watch live football from the DFB Pokal, which is the German Cup. You can watch the Belgian Pro League, the Austrian Bundesliga, the Korean K-League, and some regional German football as well. So if you fancy watching some live football on your phone, as well as keeping up to date with all of the latest news and scores from around the world, would massively appreciate it if you guys could download the OneFootball app for absolutely free from the top line of the description. You get some free live football and I get some support on the channel from OneFootball. It's a win-win situation. You'll love to see it. So we've now gone 10 years in the future to 2035, and wow, we can see some improvement. Already in the competition reputation, we've gone from, what was it, 13th to now 6th, just outside the big top 5 leagues, which is really impressive progress. A quick look at the past winners. Since Aberdeen won it, it's been dominated by Celtic until Rangers won it 2 years in a row, which is pretty good. Although looking at the league table for the season that's just gone on, Dundee United and Hibs are right up there. Aberdeen are still a very decent team. Rangers have had a poor season by looks of things. We won't go through all of the transfers because at this point there are too many to look at, but we will look at the prices because the biggest prices indicate some decent players coming to the league. Although I do see in this season, the 25-26 season, Scott McTominay and Ethan Ampadu have both joined Celtic, which is obviously very good for them. As we keep pushing forward, £32 million is leaving the club there, but St Mirren spent £26 million there on a player, so that's another big transfer coming in. Celtic spent £43 million on what I'm going to presume is not a regen. I can't say I've heard of Jude Soon Sup Bell before, but he's a real player because he's not got a regen face, so they spent a lot of money on him, as you can see. They spent 31 runs of £41 million a season afterwards, 52 this season after that, so really big transfer fees are being paid by mostly Celtic, not really many other clubs, I must say. But at least we are seeing some big transfer fees being paid, and that's what we want to be seeing in this save. We want to be seeing the big transfer fees that sort of indicate good players joining the league to progress the league forward. So given that the Scottish Premiership has risen to 6th in competition rankings, I'm going to assume that there has been some trophy wins in European football. Unfortunately, that's not in a Champions League. Looking at the Champions League, it's all of the usual culprits. No Scottish teams reaching the final just yet. Looking into the Europa League, I can't actually see any Scottish teams having reached the final of the Europa League either. So maybe it's the Europa Conference League that they're starting to dominate, and that is why we've seen such an upward trajectory with the European rankings. Have a quick look at the Europa League then, and Hibs won it. I honestly, no one won that then, but Hibs won it in 29-30. But that was quite a few years ago, and the rise has been pretty recent and pretty rapid. So I'm going to assume teams like Celtic keep getting to a Champions League semi-final. Congrats to Hibs though, the first team we've seen in this save win a European competition, so that's obviously something impressive. Although having a quick look at Celtic's Champions League record, it's not actually brilliant. Mostly group stages, they've got to the first knockout round and quarter-final before, so I don't know, I'm a little confused as to why the Scottish ranking has risen so quickly. As a byproduct of all of this money, I'm actually expecting the Scottish national team to do pretty well. And by looks of things, they're at their current peak right now, or near their peak. They were 22nd in world rankings, they're now 25th. So we'll keep tabs on the Scottish national team as well. So we're now in 2050, which is 30 years on from the start of this save file and 15 years on from when we last saw them a few moments ago. The first thing to notice is that the Scottish Premiership is still only 6th in nation rankings. And one, maybe they've reached their peak and they're not going to get any higher. And two, if they can't do it with all of this money, how am I going to do it in my save with Aberdeen, which starts, I don't know how I'm going to do it. Actually, I'm very concerned now. What we can see now, though, is a whole range of different winners in the Scottish Premiership. Celtic held on to their monopoly for a long time, but Rangers and Dundee have started to win the league title, which is pretty exciting. And Hibs coming in third every now and again as well. Aberdeen in third too, Kilmarnock, so it's getting interesting. In terms of league's reputation, they're ranked as 4 stars now, which is pretty decent. The same as Germany, France and Italy. So maybe they are on the cusp of overtaking them. In terms of club coefficients, Scotland are 5th in that, which is ahead of Germany by a few points, although apparently for next season they're going to drop behind Germany again. So they're right on level terms with Germany, just behind France as well. Italy a little bit further away, so they're about the same as France and Germany 30 years into the save, which is obviously really interesting. And the national team looks like it hit a high point of 13th back in 2040, but has since dropped down a little bit, which is a bit of a shame. But for them to be on level terms with France and Germany and stuff like that, they need to be doing consistently well in Europe, so this should be quite interesting. I'm not expecting a Champions League win, and again, we're not going to see a Champions League win. Looking at this, there are no teams in the Champions League finals, but I reckon there's probably a team in the semi-finals every now and again. Okay, so just look through. Celtic made the semi-finals in 2044-45, so I mean that's one appearance there in the semi-finals, so maybe not quite as frequently as I was expecting. And they made another semi-final appearance in 2035-36. So maybe not quite as good as I thought in the Champions League, but I guess they're doing pretty well in the Europa League. Let's have a look through the Europa League then. Can I see any winners from Scotland? No, unfortunately. That's quite sad. Celtic came runners-up in the season that we've just played, which is exciting. Dundee United got to a final one year and came runners-up. So we've seen teams get to the finals. We've not seen anyone win a Europa League. Surely then there's got to be some wins in the Europa Conference League. Obviously we saw Hibs win one last time out, and Motherwell won one in 2047-48, which is fantastic. Kilmarnock lost the season afterwards. Hibernian lost to Crotone one season as well. In fact, blimey, Hibs have been to loads. Hibs have been to 5 finals. They won one in 29-30, but lost the next 4, which is very upsetting for them. Kilmarnock have also lost 2 cup finals, 3 cup oh my gosh. They get to finals in the Conference League, don't they? But they keep losing them. Poor Scotland, not quite getting over the line to win everything. But Kilmarnock have lost in 3 finals, whereas Hibs have lost in 4 finals. So obviously not quite ideal there for the Scottish teams, but we are seeing some good progress. If they can just get over the line and win a couple more trophies, they could break the top 3. And here we are now in 2070, 50 years on from when we started this experiment. And as you can see, if you're Scottish, you'll hate this. Scotland are 2nd to England. You hate to see it. I tell you what though, that is incredibly impressive to get to 2nd in the nation rankings. That is really impressive. Did they ever get to number 1? I don't think it's going to tell us, is it? Unfortunately, I don't think it will have got to number 1. But by looks of things, they've been bouncing between 4th, 3rd and 2nd for a long time. So they pretty much are one of the best league. Well, they literally are. They're 2nd best league in Europe, which probably makes them the 2nd best league in the world. Sorry, South American fans, that might be a bit harsh on you boys. As you can see, though, 4 places for the Champions League and 3 places for the other European divisions, which are the exact same as the English Premier League. So they've literally maxed out their European membership. Obviously, the more teams playing in Europe, the easier it is for them to progress and actually keep their place as number 2 in the rankings. So they've done really, really well. Dundee have won a couple more titles. Rangers have won a few, but Celtic have, for the most part, dominated dominated things. Ross County had a brief period coming second and third for a while, but it looks like they've dropped off again. Oh, I'm just gutted that they couldn't quite get to number one. Almost, but it does show how important money is in football, right? They've had all this money come through. Hang on, we're spending 1.2 billion a season on this TV thing. 50 years, that is 60 billion pounds that's been spent on Scottish football, and it's not even gotten to number one. So the moment of truth, has anyone won a Champions? They have. Celtic have won a Champions League. They won it in 68-69. Wait, is that poetry? Is that poetry? When did Celtic win it before? Oh, 66-67. I thought they won it in 68-69, but 1968-69. So just over 100 years after they won it again. And they lost in the final in 69-70. So like 100 years since they last were pretty decent in Europe, they went on to win another one. Only took 60 billion pounds. In terms of the Europa League, looking through the list, Celtic won a Europa League, as did Rangers, as did St Mirren, all 3 years in a row. And I think they're the only three Scottish teams to have won a European competition in the Europa League. So all three at the same time, which is impressive. Hibs lost another final. Hibs and finals just do not go well together at all. But I can't see any other Scottish team. Celtic lost one in 49-50. But other than that, can't see any more there. I'm expecting to see plenty of wins in the Europa Conference League. And Ross County have come out of nowhere. They've got second and third in the league table a couple of times, and they've won 3 Europa Conference Leagues. Congratulations to Ross County for that one. What a great team name they are. Dundee United have won one as well. Motherwell, I think we might have seen that one last time though, yeah, because Kilmarnock lost the season afterwards. Any more teams losing? St Johnstone lost in the final in 2067-68. But other than that, I'm not seeing any other losses or anything like that. So they've done really well in the past few years, winning some trophies, and I guess that is why they've pushed themselves up to second in European rankings. As for the national team, they reached 28th in world rankings. I think the highest we saw them was like 14th at one point, so I don't think they ever won a World Cup, and that is confirmed by looking at the history. But they did win some under-20 and under-19 championships, which is pretty impressive. In fact, looking at this, they never actually got past the quarter-final of the World Cup, which is obviously very poor for Scotland. And looking at the European Championships, there we go, European Championships, they lost in the second round a lot. They lost in the final one year to the Dutch in 2014. That was when we saw them actually at 14th in the world. So that's why they did so well in that particular year, losing in the final there. But never really doing anything, so unlucky Scotland. Anyway, that is going to bring an end to today's episode, so thank you ever so much for watching today's video. Hope you guys have enjoyed it, and of course, if you have done, make sure you do drop a like on today's video for me, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and I will see you next time. Have a good one. Goodbye.